So here is my Tier 4 EDC. These are 4 separate kits that, depending on where I'm going, what I need, how large a bag I have, I may or may not take them. And I'll just point, I won't go through all the content of each one. If people are interested, you could let me know and I'm happy to do a video on them. But let me show you just briefly what they are. This is the one that I would take most often. It's quite small and it's a mini first aid kit. A little bit more, gives me a little more capacity than the mini medi that I have with me all the time in my gee, I wish I had bag. This is a bag for menstrual products, and I'm happy to go over more if there are women who are interested in it. One of the things, this is a bag from Planet Wise, and if you use reusable menstrual products, this is quite nice because one of the compartments is water resistant. So if you use reusable products, you can put it in there and it's just nicer. This I take if I need to dress up, if I have a more formal, need to be more formal at work for some reason, and I need makeup and maybe something to keep the clothes, a lint brush, that kind of thing. I have this bag. And this is office supplies. I find myself more and more, I don't work in a regular office anymore, so I often find myself meeting people at a cafe or a restaurant doing work there and having just some basic office supplies, staples, staple removers, clips, pads, things like that has been really useful. So if I'm doing some work-related thing, I tend to have a bigger bag anyway, and I'm likely to put that in. So that is Tier 4. I want to highlight the survival elements of my EDC preps. Some of these have very obvious emergency uses that are just very clear. Flashlight, whistle, the in case of emergency card, and the emergency contact list, which I realized I didn't include, but I have a written card with emergency contact list that's attached to the back of my phone in case my phone doesn't work. Smartphone with apps, there's been a lot of discussion online, and I did a video on that. Cordage, first aid kit, matches, water bottle, food, having some power, are all pretty straightforward in terms of their applications in an emergency. There are some things that I think are either less obvious or more particular to an urban environment. One of those is between a phone and having cash. You can get a cab if you're concerned you're being followed, you feel uncomfortable. This was growing up in a city, this was one of the first things once I was allowed sort of out and about on my own that my parents drummed into my mind. At that point it was being able to find a payphone. There weren't cell phones. But they always made sure that I had money in my shoe, and that if I felt at all uncomfortable, they said, get a cab. If you can't call one down, call one. Get a cab to either take you to the nearest police station or take you home, and trust your instincts. And I think particularly for women in the city, that's a really important emergency procedure. Money also, when you're in a city and there are convenience stores every 3 blocks, helps you buy water or food if needed. And again, this is EDC, so if I leave the house for the day unaware that there's something happening, I would presume by the time I hear about it, other people are also just hearing about it and everything hasn't closed down yet. So the ability to buy water or food running into a store is reasonable in most situations. Or if for some reason I can't get back to my home or stay with a friend, if you have money or a credit card, you can stay in a hotel. And as a woman, one of the last things I would want to do is to sleep outside in the city on my own. That's something that I would really try to avoid because it really doesn't feel safe for me if there's any other option. So sunglasses not only make you more comfortable, but I think being able to pay attention to your surroundings is always really important. And if you have sensitivity to light or you're squinting because of the light, that really decreases that ability. So I really think of sunglasses as an emergency item that helps with survival. A capsule with prescription medications. If you take prescription medications, even skipping a day is often really not good for your health, so that is very important. And a handkerchief, which it may not be as big as a bandana, but you can often do the same, you can do a lot of the same things with it. So finally, I wanted to just throw out there a couple things that I think I'd like to add to my EDC and am looking into. Both of these have self-defense applications. The first is a personal alarm that's high decibel. I carry a whistle with me, but a personal alarm that I could have on a belt or hanging from a bag that just requires me to grab it and pull seems more useful in a really emergent situation of an attack than trying to get a whistle to your mouth. The other is a tactical flashlight that I could carry at night that has very high lumens, maybe a strobe element, and a strong bezel, so if someone got close enough that I could reach them, which would be, my goal would be to keep people farther away from me, I could use it to hit with, and it would add to the strength of any sort of punch or anything I was able to do physically. So that I would love to get feedback on those, if there's things that you've found that are useful, you have recommendations, or other things that you think would be important for me to add to my EDC, that would be great. So thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful, useful, entertaining, please consider subscribing. I'd love to get comments to hear ideas, things I'm missing, things that I hadn't thought of, and liking the video. I really want to just thank everyone who posts EDC and prepping videos, because I've watched so many over the past year or so, and many of these ideas have come from those videos. And I wanted to specially acknowledge the Urban Prepper and Survive with Knife, who, in addition to content from all the EDCs, the way they organized their EDC videos and the concepts they used really influenced the way I think about my EDC and this video. Urban Prepper uses the tier system, and Survive with Knife takes the time to really think through what are survival applicable items that he's carrying and what are sort of what he calls the standard or everyday items, and I found that very useful. So thank you so much for watching.